Synchronize.
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 Welcome, travelers. What's going on? I'm hitting you guys with another podcast today. Today, I think it's just me. So, no, we're gonna talk about some things today. I have title should be up there. It's pretty much been a busy week for me. Honestly, I'm a bit exhausted, but we're here, you know, and I know you guys all need that baseline. So get ready, right? Today, we'll be sharing some insight about Boruto provided by the Zone. I'm explaining I guess I've explained previously in other videos on our Boruto Talks channel that Boruto possesses things like, storm, ice, and lightning releases post time skip in base form. This is base form Boruto, just so you guys know. So today I'm covering things like yin yang release, the difference between the two, and how they directly point to Boruto being able to travel through time through means like spiritual projection. I've loved this theory for a while now. This idea came to mind, and I immediately thought of the Avatar, right? So for the Sync Zone's more consistent viewers, you guys know that this is not the first time that I mentioned this. Hopefully, I can prove to you guys the possibility and the likelihood of Boruto utilizing all nature transformations originated from Yin Yang release. I've talked about how Kishimoto utilizes techniques like obfuscation and symbolism to build upon the plot. So some of these may seem like filler or even headcanon, but I gotta tell you, some of these directly correlate to to future events. A wiki study kind of shows that. Checking out some of the studies and theories out there. So a wiki study actually shows that Yin and Yang release, or Yin and Yang represent duality, right? Or the idea that two opposite characteristics can actually exist in harmony and complement each other, right? So, hey, before we continue, I gotta let you guys know there's a little promo going on, right? So 500 subscribers. If we get 500 subscribers, I'll there's already a giveaway in the works. So promo code the end. So go ahead and comment down below the end to spam that. In conjunction with your comments, still comment too. Let me know what you think of the video and stuff. Give thoughts, feedback, criticism, whatever. If you hate this video, let me know you hate the video or you thought it was almost cussed that you thought it was dumb, right? But yeah, go ahead. The promo code should be in the description below. So if you don't look, is the only way you wouldn't know there's a promo code for the giveaway. Right? Haven't decided what the giveaway will be yet, but it will be announced in future videos. So to continue, right? This means each Yin or Yang release was shown to us in Boruto from a caster. From casters, there was a possibility that either both or either could be utilized. Right? So at some point it was shown to us. Either Yang or Yang. I'm gonna keep messing that up. From what I can tell, there's no requirements other than the caster being alive in either the Pure Land world, whatever you want to call it, or unpure world. Right now, seems like in this instance, it's pretty much the unpure world, unpure land. It's pretty much like Earth, where the shinobis are, and then like the pure world is pretty much like if you die, or if you're in a spiritual realm. Yes, right. So from in previous theories, I discussed how the JŌGAN, the pure eye, may be able to physically project, or manifest, not necessarily in the well, yeah, I guess in either or. So could probably go to either the pure world or the unpure world, or both, right? So this would allow Boruto to see into different points in time, right? And or allow himself to interact with the Pure Land, as I just said. Just taking into consideration that this eye is not only the natural evolution of Byakugan, but the ultimate Dojutsu. I emphasize ultimate Dojutsu, right? I'm not going to say at this point that is every Dojutsu in one Dojutsu, but it is. I'd like to emphasize ultimate Dojutsu. So in previous videos, I mentioned that things like life energy and spirit energy, so things like that. What I mean by that is the use of yin and yang chakra, right? So I feel like I pretty much talked sort of loosely about these different forms of energy and how and if you go back, they still track, they still make sense. But we're here to clarify that today, right? I guess somewhat, and also kind of like hopefully I could add on my theory on top of this, right? So taking in consideration that that if Sasuke and Naruto are the yin and yang, then Kawaki and Boruto, being their successors, are also the yin and yang, right? Kawaki and Boruto, Kawaki being Boruto, excuse me, Kawaki being Naruto's successor, and Boruto being Sasuke's yin successor, right? Um, so I cannot stress enough. I not only is this shown in like previous Boruto openings, but it's also like in the abilities that it uses, right? Even though it's theorized that Kawaki can pretty much grant wishes via his Dojutsu. I forget exactly what it's called at the moment, but if I remember, hopefully I could provide that to you guys. So my theory, right? My theory is that um, this would only mean this, right? That Boruto naturally would be able to access the spiritual domain willfully. Um, my only argument to this is that this symbolizes um, or the symbolism is that I believe both of their dojutsus are fully capable of now utilizing both releases, but not currently but currently each are stronger um, with exact opposing releases, right? So at the moment, I feel as though um, one maybe each of them may be stronger at one release than the other, but as the time skip continues, once that time hits, we're not even at the time skip, and I'm talking about the time skip, but you're here for a reason, and we're here to prove it. This is what we do. Uh, so in about 5 years time, hopefully you can come back and and see exactly that our predictions were correct. So I believe that uh, of course Boruto initially would be stronger naturally in Yang, as we've seen in the anime, and Kawaki Stojutsu being stronger in Yin initially, right? Now I'll explain that later. But I believe that as Boruto continues through the time skip, inching closer to the end, I think that during this time, Kawaki and Boruto will trade their respective strengths through, let's say, training. There's current oh through training their current effectively. Oh, I guess they currently to master both, right? So as the time skip continues, I expect their training to basically help them catch up to sort of master both. Of course, they'll still be stronger, or at least naturally have that natural. Their eyes will most likely, or dojutsu will most likely have that natural affinity to one as opposed to the other. But over time, I think that it'll help bridge the gap, right? So to explain yin and yang release, right? Because I've mentioned yin and yang release, but I've yet to kind of explain what they are, right? So based off of a definition, yin release is a natural transformation that exists only outside the five basic elemental natures. Like its counterpart, yang release, yin release is little explored in the series. Yin release is used YIN release uses spiritual energy control, imagination, right? So it uses spiritual energy to control the imagination, creating forms out of nothingness, right? So that's what YIN release is. Now to speak about Yang release. Yang release is also a natural transformation that exists outside the 5 basic elemental natures. Like its counterpart, Yin release. Yang release is little explored in the series. Yang release uses physical energy to control vitality, granting life to forms that have none. Right? So those definitions are very, very specific. Now, if you can probably think about Yin release as like, creating forms out of nothingness. So nothing, imagine nothing, right? Just, close your eyes, nothing, right? Now imagine a plant, right? Specifically a rose, right? Now, before we give that rose a form, right? We need Yin release, right? So that gives it the spiritual form. And then we have life, right? So to give it like the physical form, you have Yang release, right? So hopefully I cleared that up with that one. I'll continue. So we know that Uchihas, right? Who possess both Izanagi and Izanami. We know they possess both. Now I say this is a prime example of Yin release. As we know, Yin release is a spiritual energy that creates control, imagination, or that can control, create. Did I say that right? See if I said that right. Or that can, I guess, create form and control imagination, creating forms out of nothingness, right? So we see this being used in characters like Danzo in the fight against Sasuke. We see this in the fight with like characters like Itachi in the fight against Kabuto. We also see this with Madara, right? After he was killed by Hashirama, right? So he had used Yin release to resurrect, right? Yes. Hopefully I explained that. That was a spiritual feat. So each of these having hold on just a second. What the heck? So each of these having I guess users of having one thing in common, right? So they're doing this through a means of genjutsu, right? To really explain it further, you can see how I guess genjutsu, the user is not physically harmed. So white Zetsu symbolize Zetsu, excuse me, the white eyes symbolize they are symbolic of the events which are occurring. These are some of the things, some of the ones that are listed that just came to mind. There are a few more, but they're not mentioned in this video. I won't be mentioning them. So my second example of Yin release is, I guess, from more recent events, right? So this one being from like Eida and Daemon, right? So we know that we cannot physically see any elemental traits from their actions or reactions. Although we know that it is not although we know that it does affect the opponent. We know I guess we know that the traits resemble that of the Sharingan. it's not exactly like genjutsu, um, unless it affects the opponent. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not exactly like the Sharingan where you have to directly look into the opponent's eyes. Um, in this case, I feel like it's more so relating to something like ranges, right? Well, if you watch my Eida and Daemon video, Daemon linked video, you might get a better idea as to, like, what I'm referring to. Um, for some of you viewers that have already watched it, you may already know, but I believe that that in their case, their abilities are based on either like range or active intent of the aggressor, right? We see this in the I want to say chapter 69. This was pretty much given to us via model, right? He pretty much said that flat out. Now Yang release is essentially the pure. Yang release is the pure world animation jutsu, right? So if the name's not enough for you guys, I guess, then I don't know what to tell you. But this is why we're here. We're here to explain it to you guys, right? So although since you're still here, we'll explain further. We'll explain further. So this jutsu is already created. The jutsu already creates form, right? Um, Let me explain further. So for some reason I cannot talk. I think that's because I just woke up. But we're gonna try to get this out of our mouth. Um, so what it does is it takes jutsu. The jutsu takes already created form, right? And it provides a soul and gives it form, right? So the form being the soul, and it just gives it the physical form. This being the alive person's vessel, right? So that's the physical form. A life for a life summoning jutsu, if you will. Um, Another example of Yang release is Choji's expansion jutsu, all medical ninjutsu, and I guess Shikamaru's jutsu. And in Shikamaru's case, I guess he was able to affect Eida primarily because his jutsu was it possessed like two factors. Um, it's not an elemental. It's not elemental in its nature, and it's a Yang release, right? We know this because it's physically manifested, and it does not have any nature principles to it, from what we see. As per my speculation of Ada and Damon's abilities, they are not microscopic, right? So it's in fact a yin. It is in fact a or her abilities are in fact their abilities are in fact a yin release, right? So this is a natural counterpart to Ada and Damon's yin release through their dojutsu, right? So uh, let's go ahead and tackle yin yang release, right? So yin yang release, if I remember correctly, is a also a natural transformation that combines yin and yang release. These two exist outside the five basic elemental natures, as per Naruto fandom. uh, so notably, the most powerful technique to derive from the combination of these two releases is the creation of all things technique, and this was shown by Hagoromo himself, right? So the Sage of Six Paths, with his Sage of Six Paths, what he was able to do
was create a form that was given, or create the forms and then give them life, right? Um, he was able to do this by splitting up the 10 tails chakra and creating the 9-tailed beast, right? So he did this by utilizing the yin release to create the souls, right? To create the form, and then the yang release to create the actual bodies of the tailed beast we see today, right? So although um oh, just let the record show that these shinobi that shinobi are not chakra, right? So I think that's where a lot of the misunderstanding lies, is that, you know, they're not sure the difference between, or at least they're not actively recognizing the difference between the tail beast, anima, uh and shinobi, right? So that brings me to my theory's closing arguments, right? So on I guess this is on how Boruto will utilize the yin half, who is noted to be, or noted to possess every possible chakra combination and chakra release in conjunction with his dojutsu, right? So that's very important, right? Every chakra combination, possible chakra combination, in conjunction with his dojutsu, right? So from what we've seen of the JŌGAN so far, it's it's provided yang feats, right? Yang release feats. So it's physically manifested things, um, or moved things, manipulated things. Um, we've seen this in the previous events. So, you know, even though his vessel, his Yang half, is now 100% Otsutsuki, it is now undeniable that Boruto is incapable of utilizing his Otsutsuki eye, right, to the full extent, right? So I think, you know, a lot of people speculated that that he can now use his JŌGAN, or his JŌGAN will be, I guess he could use it possibly at will now, right? Um, this is I definitely gotta agree. I definitely gotta agree. Um, because he has the Otsutsuki in his body, and that Otsutsuki has been known to, as I stated previously, show every possible chakra release. Um, so earlier I mentioned, though, through yin release, a caster can utilize spiritual energy to control imagination and warp reality itself. Right? Those are crazy feats. I hope you guys are recognizing. Within the confines of this definition, I see no reason to doubt Boruto um, is not literally the Avatar. Right? He's literally the Avatar. For those that you are, I guess for those of that you can't even speak today. For those of you that are pretty much familiar, that I pointed this out in the past on how the Avatar can not only talk to past avatars that have died centuries prior to the present, but the Avatar can also is also able to project their spiritual selves out to travel to the spiritual world. Right? Fun fact: if we're making a correlation here between the Avatar, I think it's only fair to note that this was done in the Avatar. This is done when the Avatar. Like, guess what am I trying to say? I guess it's done when it's in the Avatar state. I want to say. No, no. Okay, so essentially, I know I wanted to mention the spiritual beast. That if you are familiar with the events of the winter solstice, right? There is there's that is a very eventful moment, right? And I'll explain that, right? But essentially, it was done when the spiritual beasts were noted to be the strongest during the winter solstice, right? So the Avatar also projects herself, right, into the spirit self. I forget if Aang does this, but I know Korra does. Uh, so the Avatar projects herself during this time. For those of you that are unclear as to the events that unfold during the winter solstice, I like to say that there is very significant. There's a good amount of significance, I guess, and in both Avatar series, and it's essentially when the sun travels the shortest path through the sky, um, I guess, resulting in the day of the year with the least amount of sun. Therefore, the longest night. Right. So that's something to take into account when thinking about Boruto and the end. Right. Quote quote. So ultimately, the similarities within each point toward balance, right, or lack thereof. So Yang release also has the ability, um, once combined, to negate all chakra natures, right? Um, for those of you that are prior Naruto fans, you hopefully this is no new news to you guys, but this was explained to us via, I want to say, the bubble reanimated or the bubble jutsu reanimated Kage. I forget his name, but he like had explosion and like bubble jutsu. It's weird, but he definitely had it. But essentially, right, he would have we know that Yin Yang release has the ability, once combined, to not only create, right, um, but negate, right, and I think given, post time skip Boruto's character, at least the one that we painted on the channel, it's very possible that he may come to the decision to negate Ying or Yang release. Did I say Ying, Yin, or Yang release? I think it's sometimes called Yin as well, but negate one or the other. You guys know what I mean. Along with himself to reset the balance of the world, thus ending the cycle of hatred. Uh, I think that is a fitting end for Boruto, and I definitely think that's definitely a different route that Naruto went, but it kind of utilizes all the tools, I guess, but in a possibly shorter story. And I think this one would probably be a lot more well written, especially because it utilizes things like different philosophies, um, you know, mythologies, science, uh, things that I plan to go more in depth with in the coming videos. Uh, it's definitely very interesting. The whole yin yang aspect of um, of Naruto Boruto, I think that that gives us a few more possibilities, and that kind of closes some loopholes, because that's one thing that this series, at least not when it pertains to Naruto and Boruto, that is very a lot of people kind of like think that that's its main issue, I guess. So I guess my last take would probably be a philosophy, just like a philosophy 101. So, as per Chinese and Japanese philosophy on yin and yang, it is these two things that seem separate but are in fact interconnected. Only for you travelers out there, or I guess for you travelers out there, instead of interconnected, we could say interlinked. So that's something to take into account. And this will probably be a short. This is definitely a shorter video, but I plan to go more in depth. This was a lot of information, I believe, and I hope to dissect this a little further. And I hope it is very heavily explored in the coming chapters in the future of Boruto, because I don't think everything has to be sunshine and rainbows. You know, sometimes things can have a sad or dark ending, and it'll be all right. But with that being said, I'll see you guys there. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll see you travelers later.
Mama said you're meant to burn as bright as a star among the midnight sky. All the pressure blinded me, but now I see I'm no different from the rest. You said I'd fly away, but my walls have kept me down. Now I'm lost and I'm afraid, and I'm close to hit the ground. You said I'd fly away. You said I'd fly anyway, but I keep on falling. You said I'd fly anyway, but I keep on falling. But I keep on falling. We're all searching for that open door. Show me proof that there is something more. I just hope I am okay with the choices I make. Maybe then I'll understand. You said I'd fly away,